In 2013, I was involved in a Ponzi scheme that cost me thousands of dollars. And in this video, I'm going to explain how it happened. Let me take you back to 2013 Jason. I'd always been interested in technology and I had this idea for a mobile game called City Run. It was going to be similar to Temple Run where people would run through New York City. I thought it was a great idea for a game and I may still make this game, so don't steal my idea. I came up with how the game was to play, what the power-ups would be, the names of the characters, and even how they should look. But what I couldn't do was make the art or do any coding. So at that point, the idea was just that, an idea. And the ideas are a dime a dozen. So I needed to find someone who can do everything that I can't. So I went through one agency who I thought could do it for me. I paid this company in India in installments and was very specific about how the characters needed to look and how the game needed to look. They failed. The characters looked like they were built in Minecraft before Minecraft was a thing. I fired them and went looking for a new company. I wanted to make this game so badly that I even went looking on Craigslist. This is where I made my first mistake. I was so desperate to make the game that I was willing to overlook any red flags and also go looking for talent where I probably shouldn't have. Because, come on, Craigslist for app development, that was a pretty dumb move on my part. After posting what I was looking for on Craigslist in the job section, I started getting emails from companies pitching their services. Partly why I used Craigslist was because I wanted a company in the US. After failing with my first development company in India, I wanted someone I could meet in person. So here's the email I got from Daniel. Good afternoon. My name is Daniel and I'm the founder and CEO of a specialized web, gaming, and mobile development firm based in New York City. We offer iPhone, iPad, Android, web, and game development for reasonable prices. With more than 30 developers working for us, we offer reduced costs, flexibility, freedom, assured deliverability, ease of communication, and greater control over time management. I have attached our deck and would love the opportunity to meet in person this week. Daniel even attached a PDF of their design deck, which looked good. Now looking back at it, I would have had questions, but back then, shoot, I was like, this is the guy. We scheduled a meeting and met at Starbucks on 34th Street and 3rd Avenue. At the in-person meeting, he seemed to know what he was talking about. But truth be told, he could likely pick up on the fact that I was eager. I was a great target. He gave me the rundown as to how much it was going to cost to do the graphic design, and it was out of our budget. I can't remember the price, but it was too much for us, and I let him know. Here's the email I sent. Hey Daniel, sorry, had some running around to do for most of yesterday. Thank you for your time and feedback regarding the game. Unfortunately, we are not going to be able to work with you guys regarding the graphics. Your price, though understandable, is too high for us given our current financial predicament. We're going to work with a great 3D artist who I met a while ago. He is taking a very low upfront payment with a profit sharing agreement. However, once we have the code from our current guys and all the graphics and animations from our current 3D guy, we will need someone to put the code and the graphics together. I would like to engage you guys since you are in New York City and we can meet in person. Also, I can trust that you won't run off with the code and graphics. Therefore, I would like to know how much it would cost to put the graphics and code together once it's all done in, say, 4 weeks. His response was, Jason, what's a number I can reach you on? I'd like to offer up another option. Now, I can't remember what he proposed, but I said yes. He saw that he was losing me and had to reel me back in because he needed the money, and again, I was the perfect target. We were talking through Basecamp, a project management service, and his artist began sending us some sketches and files. It was just what I wanted. I was so hyped. Things were going well, and I was believing that finally I'd be able to make the game I always wanted to. But then there started to be problems. The tech team I had to build the code had uploaded the code, and he said he'd get his team to review the code. He came back with bad news. The code wasn't up to par, and in order to use the art, we would have to redo the entire code. I was crushed. But he said he had a solution, since as you remember in his first message, he has a team of 30 developers, so they could do it. Of course the fee would be raised, but at least we get the game completed. Looking back, I bet the code was fine, but he had gained my trust and he could tell I already didn't trust my current developers that much. So there I was paying another installment to Daniel. Also during this time, I had to meet him in person, and we did so at Cipriani on Wall Street. Now, if you don't know much about New York City, Cipriani is one of the most prestigious hotels in the city. And to make it even crazier, he said he wasn't just staying at the hotel, but had an apartment there. I'm just a kid from the Bronx who shared a room with his siblings all of his life, and now I'm meeting a guy who had an apartment at Cipriani. To me, this guy was rich. When I got there, the doorman waved to him and we went to the business lounge in the hotel. He showed me more assets and convinced me that we didn't need to do brand new art, but could use a site that had 3D characters already. This should have been another red flag, but again, I was too eager for this to work, and this guy clearly knew better. After all, he was living in Cipriani, and I'm living in the Bronx in my parents' house. But then things started to change. I had been asking to see the code his team worked on. It was supposed to be uploaded to GitHub, which is a website developers use to store their code. On May 24th, I emailed Daniel asking for him to upload the code to my account at GitHub. But guess what? Nothing was there. He eventually sent me some code, but I was starting to feel uneasy. He said a demo of the game was going to go up on this website soon, and I kept waiting for the demo to go live. Then he told me completely out of the blue that he was going to Israel for 6 months. He'd never spoken to me about going to Israel. Our game wasn't even close to being done, and he's leaving? After that conversation, when I emailed him, all I got back was his out of office email. I tried Google Chat and still no answer. After 3 weeks of constant out of the office emails, I reached out to the artist who was supposedly working with Daniel. Here's my email. Hey, I really need to know if Daniel's a scam. Please send me your number. Here's mine. And then in response, I got this. Jason, we learned a lot about him this morning. Check out this article that a mutual friend just sent. We're busy ruining his life on Facebook for the time being. If you'd like to reach out, feel free to contact us. And I have found my answer. Daniel Eric's real name is Dan Kaufman, but he also went by Dan K, Dan Katzy. To people, he was a celebrity chef, an internet entrepreneur, a television producer. He had worked for Apple, Google, AOL, The Rainbow Room. He hung out with Steve Case, Gordon Ramsay, Tim Armstrong. He was a world-class surfer, a AAA baseball legend, the founder of a seminal punk band. Gawker called him the Montauk Grifter. He was the 2012 version of the Tinder Swindler. His 6-month trip to Israel was really a trip to jail. I checked the prison records, and there was a Daniel Kaufman at Rikers Island. When I read the article, I realized that though he scammed me out of more than $5,000, I was one of the lucky ones. He got one company for $20,000, $50,000 from a restaurant consultant who was referred to as Anthony in the article. When the Anthony caught on to who Dan really was, here's what he said. I said, Dan, they know. Anthony says, I know. You need to tell me the truth. He turned almost see-through white and started stuttering and fidgeting and said, I'm a bad person. I'm crazy. I'm sick in the head. Sick in the head he was. Even his parents wanted nothing to do with him. In the end, I was out $5,000 and had no real way of ever getting the money back. So this was my story about getting scammed. It definitely sucked, especially because back then, $5,000 was a ton of money for me. The most important thing I learned was never be too eager. People can pick up on it and they'll take advantage. That's it, guys. Let me know if you have any stories about being scammed in the comments. Also, if you enjoyed this video and enjoyed my pain, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. Thanks, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.